Intercultural foundations, defining culture and socialization. What is the definition of culture? The etymology or origin of the word culture has been traced back to the 15th century, from Latin cultura, which meant the tilling of land or act of preparing the earth for crops. This root definition of culture speaks to the way in which culture is very much embedded in us, has grown over time, and continues to grow. Over time, the meaning evolved. In the 18th century, the meaning of culture changed to indicate cultivation through education, learning, or the intellectual side of civilization. During this century, culture also became associated with the customs of a people. Now the meaning of culture has grown. The following definition is one of many. Culture is shared and often invisible. It shapes our understanding, values, and beliefs, which animate the behavior of groups of people in a specific context, time, and/or place. Some characteristics of culture include: culture is systemically organized. Culture has developed over time as culture is passed on from one generation to the next. Many of the important aspects of culture, such as how it shapes our beliefs and values, are invisible. Sometimes complex ideas are better understood through use of metaphor or analogy. The analogy of the iceberg shows how the vast majority of culture's influence is not visible to others or ourselves as it lies underneath the water. Another common metaphor is the cultural onion. The onion demonstrates the same idea as the iceberg. That which is perceived on the outside is only a small percentage of the onion as a whole. Both metaphors encourage us to look deeper into what lies beneath the surface to understand ourselves and others. This metaphor, as any, is limited. Culture is not frozen, but fluid. It is not an object, but more like an ecosystem, living and complex. Socialization refers to the process of learning the meanings and practices that enable us to navigate and behave appropriately within the norms of a culture. If we continue with the use of the iceberg then, socialization can be seen as the forces that shape the iceberg. We are socialized by many different factors. Agents of socialization shape cultural icebergs on both collective and individual levels. For example, we are shaped by histories we are told or not told. We are shaped by the media. We are shaped by religions, by our families and peers. We are shaped by educational systems, and so on. All of these agents of socialization teach us about how to behave within a culture. Many aspects of socialization happen beneath the surface of our cultural iceberg and are largely unconscious. This learning teaches us about what is expected, for example, gender roles, what is valuable, for example, money or relationships, how to behave, for example, do you speak directly with your boss? Socialization involves various aspects and stages such as self and other, where our understanding of ourself is constructed by the perception of how others might see us. And this guides our moral development, our learning about what society considers to be good and bad, right and wrong. This also contributes to in-group and out-group experiences. However, there is more than a binary of good and bad, right and wrong. Human experiences can be better represented and understood on a spectrum rather than in a binary. When learning what a social group is, you often will learn what a social group is not, which can lead to this binary thinking. We need to remember that humans are more complex than language can often give voice to. This understanding is critical in international education. Intercultural communication is about negotiating a shared meaning between different cultural groups. Intercultural approaches require that we understand our own cultural iceberg and the ways in which we have been socialized so that we can more effectively and fairly negotiate meaning with people who are different than ourselves. It also opens us up to learning more about diversity in our global communities. In order to effectively negotiate, we have to be willing to see beyond our own cultural morals and values and see the possibilities and value learning through and because of our differences. At the heart of international education, then, is the possibility of creating more inclusion through intercultural understanding and approaches.